Welcome back to the Grow Nutrition Business Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Aucoin, founder of Healthy Steps Nutrition, CrossFit HSN, and HSN Mentoring, where we believe something as fundamental as nutrition should not be complicated. Today, I am so excited to have Zionna Hanson, the founder of Barbells for Boobs, on the podcast. If you are a CrossFitter, you have likely heard of Barbells for Boobs. It is one of the largest nonprofits in CrossFit. In this episode, we talk all about the evolution of Barbells for Boobs and where the company is headed. We also give you a sneak peek into what we've been working on at Healthy Steps Nutrition with the RAD program, which stands for Resources After Diagnosis. These ladies will always hold a special place in my heart. I am so excited to finally announce that Barbells for Boobs has launched the RAD Nutrition Program powered by Healthy Steps Nutrition. This is the future of continuous care for breast cancer survivors. Listen to this episode to learn more. Enjoy. Welcome back to the Grow Nutrition Business Podcast. Today, I am so excited to have Z Hanson, the founder of Barbells for Boobs, on the podcast. Z, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Man, there's so much to talk about. You know, you have done such an incredible thing building an amazing community, which is really what Barbells for Boobs is. Talk to me a little bit. Let's backtrack. How did this all get started?
So really, I think that the beginning of Barbells for Boobs started the day that I found CrossFit in 2007. And I think that I'm not the only one that can say that CrossFit changed my life. I don't think that I really knew who I was. I think I was searching and I was trying to figure out those next steps in my life. I was 27 years old at the time. I knew that I wanted to help others. I was a massage therapist. I was a pharmacy technician. I always wanted to go to pharmacy school. And I always had this passion for healing others. With massage, I was able to do that through touch. With massage with pharmaceuticals, I was able to do that through medicine. And so seeing how the body responds in those two different capacities was so mesmerizing to me. And so when I found CrossFit, it was like, whoa, I get to actually kind of utilize and learn more about how movement and nutrition can really heal the body. And so it kind of added this layer of knowledge to my arsenal of crafts, and so I became a CrossFit coach out in New Jersey, out in Montclair. So I started with Gorilla Fitness with Greg and his team over there. Super humbled and amazing to be able to find CrossFit at such a early stage in the development of the business. And so I was very lucky to, have met and gotten to know Greg Glassman and a lot of the HQ staff that kind of are still really integral in the organization today. And finally, about a year and a half of us doing workouts in the snow,
Oh, geez.
I was like, I want to move back home. And I'm from Long Beach, California. So I decided me and my partner at the time had decided to move back. We moved to Orange County in Southern California, and we opened up Next Level Performance in Lake Forest, California. And so there it was, 2009, starting our own CrossFit affiliate, probably the most incredible time in my life. We literally lived in our affiliate. We dedicated our entire life to building this community. And, this was a time when not everybody really knew what CrossFit was. It was still this underground fitness phenomenon, and it was scary. The only reason why people found us was they saw us running in the street, or it was word of mouth. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sitting there and really understanding kind of this new revelation in my life as a healer. And, I think that with what I learned in massage was I could heal one person at a time. Mm-hmm. And then what I started learning with CrossFit was I could heal maybe a dozen people at a time, just depending on who showed up to my class. And so I was seeing people get their first pull-ups. I was seeing people losing weight. I was seeing myself get my first pull-up. I was seeing myself for the first time ever in my life pick up a barbell as a woman and feel strong and feel powerful. And so I always say that CrossFit did more for me mentally than it has done for me physically. And it's done a lot for me physically. Right. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm on this journey in my life And I think I should mention that I was a dancer. So I went to college for dance. So movement, I was always intrigued by movement. I just never moved like this before. I never was told to pick up weights. I was always, you're a girl, so you should be a dancer or cheerleader, whatever that. So I was a dancer and a cheerleader. And of course I found the most organic dance I could find, which was African dance. So I studied Western African dance, and the djembe drum and the junjum drum was my specialty in dance. And so, finding CrossFit was something so new to me, and being able to help others with that was even more special for me. So this is where I'm at in 2009, right? This is, I feel like I have found my purpose. I'm winning, even though I'm like taking showers at 24 Hour Fitness. That's all irrelevant. And my best friend was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it just punched me in the gut. Like I was 29 and she was 26, literally punched me in the gut.
Wow.
And so, right. I was one of the people that I educate today, that I didn't know that breast cancer happened that young. I thought it was something that happened when I was 40. It was something that, hey, when I'm 40, I'll do that 3-day walk, or I'll start thinking about a mammogram, or, so even in my own education and in my own upbringing, I was naive to this very, very big women's health issue, the largest women's health issue in our country. And so I was shocked, and I was upset. The fire of building the movement of Barbells for Boobs didn't happen because I had this grand plan, right? It wasn't like my friend got diagnosed and then I got inspired to do something. I wanted to help my friend. And so the spark hit me when I was like, I don't know how to help her. And when a loved one's going through cancer, there's so much out of your control. And so I wanted to focus on, hey, what can I control? How can I help her? And I knew the community of CrossFit was so giving and so loving. And really this kind of came from my own community, them wanting to support me. And so a lot of us girls had never done the workout Grace RX. And for those of you that don't know, it's 30 clean and jerks from the ground to overhead 4 times at 95 pounds for women and 135 for men. So I was scared of that weight, and I decided, like, let's all do this and raise money for my friend. And so we did. We got into a parking lot. We bumped our car stereo.
Love it.
Super unorganized, super organic. And we raised like $2,000 that day. And we went to a bar afterwards, and one of my friends was like, we just did Barbells for Boobs. And I said, yes, I'm using that.
Oh my gosh, over beer. It came out from a beer.
Well, it came out from a beer. And then the next week, I think this is when CrossFit was doing those CrossFit 101 tours. And I saw Greg and the team out in Huntington Beach. And I told him what I did, and I gave him a shirt. At that time, we had called the event Amazing Grace. And he said that it was amazing what we were doing, and he wanted to match the donation. And so we had $4,000.
Wow.
So when I went to tell my friend about what we did and to offer her the the funds, she had told me that, she had everything that she needed. She was just super grateful that she was alive, and she didn't have any financial needs at that time. And so she told me to use those funds to help other people. And so that was really the spark of Barbells for Boobs, because if Ceci would have just been like, cool, like, thank you, we wouldn't exist, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And so it was really the selflessness of Ceci, and it's just who she is. Like, that's every day at Barbells for Boobs, I always ask myself, what would Ceci do? Because she's the purest, most humble, most loving individual I've ever met in my life. And that just proves it right there, that she was like, help other people. And so that's when I really started digging into what was going on with young women and breast cancer. And I think the piece to Ceci's story that is relevant to our first 8 years of work is she was originally denied access to a mammogram because they told her that she was too young.
Okay.
So she didn't, she had insurance. She had a doctor's note. The actual the actual mammography center told her that they wrote on her medical documentation, mammography recommended at age 40. Now, I know that you're on the medical side of things, and I understand that there's this huge debate on early screenings and how screenings can, how we don't want to screen, and the pros and the cons of screening early. And at the end of the day, I think that for me, if there's a lump and there's a problem, that we like you have to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
You can't assume that it's nothing. And so they basically used her and took a stat of breast cancer, which is only 7% of breast cancer cases happen under 40. And that stat is so small that they don't look at a young woman as, hey, this is an urgent screening need. They just look at it as, you're young. There's no way you have breast cancer.
Mm-hmm. And you have so many stories like that, a young woman would find a lump or something and then doctors kind of write them off. I mean, Lauren Cosmali's story is super similar to that, where she went back and forth, and it wasn't until she got a tetanus shot that finally that doctor was like, okay, let's get this checked out. But it's scary. You have to be the advocate of your own health.
It is so scary. And the fact that I was naive to it, and I would have done the same thing if my doctor told me I was too young, I would have been like, because nobody wants to know something's wrong with them, right? And so if your doctor's like, hey, you're fine, of course I would be okay with taking that and saying, okay, I'm going to go back to work. And that's what Ceci did. Ceci took that information. She went back to work, and 6 months later, she had blood and discharge coming out of that same nipple. And that's what made her go back and say, hey, something's wrong. And she demanded screening.
Wow.
And you can hear more about, you can hear her full story. She's a guest on our Behind the Bra podcast. I think she's episode 3. We share her story, and she's, she talks through that entire process and how she finally made the decision to go and get checked. And her dad was battling cancer at that same time. So it was a really scary time. I mean, cancer's scary, especially at 26, 27 years old. It's not something that's even in your mind at all.
No.
And so what I did is I started really geeking out over what was happening with young women. Why was Ceci told this? Where was the problem? Where was the root of that conversation with her doctor? And so really what I found is that every single state has a breast and cervical program that is government funded. So for example, California, it's called the Every Woman Counts program. And so if you have a breast concern and you do not have health insurance, or your health insurance doesn't cover it and you don't have any coverage, you can apply for government funding assistance through the Every Woman Counts program. Well, the Every Woman Counts program has eligibility requirements, and the first one is you must be 40 years old.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and the second one is you must be a female. And the third one is you can't make too much money. So it's you can't make more than 200% below the poverty line or something crazy, where it's it makes it really where if you are young and you're in the beginning of your career where you may not have health insurance, or you may have very limited health insurance, and you may not make that much money, but you're not living in poverty, it makes it really hard for you to access screening at a reasonable cost.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just California. So every single state has their own, with their own eligibility. So Florida's they screen women and they fund women from 50 to 64. So if you're 65, sorry. And if you're, under 50, sorry. Even though the common age of, the most diagnosed age is between 40 and 50. So you can imagine I'm on fire learning all this because I've been naive to this. And because of my work in the pharmaceutical side, I was an insurance specialist. So I worked a lot with insurance companies trying to fight for patients' drugs to get approved. And we're talking about, I was already had a fire under my butt with insurance companies not covering chemotherapy medication or not covering AIDS medication, and me having to advocate and fight for my patients in my pharmacy. So I already was frustrated with this topic. And then to see it happen to my friends, and I'm in this place in my life where I'm healing people every day. And I'm like, what is wrong? And why can't our healthcare system treat people like people and actually see them for what they're giving, see them for who they are and not look at a statistic and make a decision. And so I started really digging into that. So the next 8 years at Barbells for Boobs, we built a national program to fund early detection services for young women and men. And we spread across 36 partners across 28 states. And we funded, in 8 years, we funded over 52,000 procedures for young people and men. So young women and men. So
that's amazing. That's so absolutely incredible. How much did it cost to fund one person? So you funded 52,000 people, which is incredible. How much did it cost per person?
So one person could need completely different procedures, right? So the average cost that we were looking at was about $80. But we had one woman that kind of, you kind of have to scale everything. So we had one woman that, it's kind of like scaling our fundraising when you're like, oh, what's your average fundraising? It's like, well, I have one freak that raises $30,000. So they like ruined my entire my data. So I have to like remove them and be like, they're just a freak, a good freak.
They're amazing.
They're amazing. Super freak. But we had one specific case where we spent over $5,000 to get her screened. Because so she needed a clinical breast exam, then she needed a mammography. The mammography was non-conclusive, and then she needed an ultrasound. And then from that ultrasound, they had to do like 3 different biopsies on her. And the end result was her cost was about $5,000. But we found out she had breast cancer. Wow. And so it gets to this place where it's like, we kind of didn't care what we needed to spend on one woman. Yeah. We just cared that they got results that they needed.
Of course.
And so there was some cases like that where we really had to really go beyond what our average was. And we had to kind of remove them out of our average equations and be like, these are special case scenarios. These aren't your everyday situations. But the average cost was about $80 because for the most part, we're looking at a clinical breast exam or a mammography or an ultrasound. And we were able to negotiate a lot of our cost with our clinics and our partners, because if I was a patient and I went to go pay cash, they wouldn't negotiate a rate with me. They might drop it down. But again, Barbells for Boobs was almost acting as if we were an insurer to the clinics that we were working with. Mm-hmm. And so just like any other insurance company and our contracts with those clinics, we were able to negotiate really great rates for our services because they wanted more funding, right? So they would give us the rates, and it was a fantastic program until it wasn't.
Well, you guys helped a lot of people realize that they needed more help than beyond a screen, right? Like, I mean, you guys helped thousands and thousands of people. That's absolutely amazing. So that was the first 8 years. And then we had a conversation a few years ago, and you said, I remember this, we had a Zoom call, and you said, Nicole, I've been focused so much on this prevention side, and now we've got these people that we've got them detected early, and now they want more help. And now we have this whole other half the circle that we need to cover, right?
Yes.
And I remember you drawing the circle.
The circle of life. Yeah, so, you get into social entrepreneurship or social impact, and you're gung-ho, like, I just wanted to make sure women got services. And then you do it for a few years, and then you kind of start seeing what's not working with that, right? And so that's what I want to kind of talk about is on the screening side. A few of the problems that I see is if we screen a woman this year, it's putting a Band-Aid really on her problem, because what's going to happen next year and the next year and the next year are we just putting a Band-Aid on her actual healthcare issue, which again, it's a good Band-Aid to put on because it provides the peace of mind. But then another thing that was happening was now we're required to have health insurance. And so while we were acting as an insurer, more and more people were getting health insurance, and that allowed us to not be able to help people. Because if I go to a clinic now and I have health insurance, they're going to bill your health insurance. They're not going to bill Barbells for Boobs anymore. Mm-hmm. They're going to bill your health insurance. Now they became this new problem in the screening crisis, which is now I have a deductible. I've never had a deductible. How much is it? I can't afford a deductible. I can't fund an individual's deductible. I can fund their services through their medical provider. But if their medical provider is already billing their insurance, they can't also bill me. They can't double dip.
Yep.
So, so it got a little, so we started getting refunds from our grants. And so we started seeing this issue happening, and we had these like red flags, red alerts of, oh my goodness, what if, and this would be awesome if everybody in America had health insurance. Is Barbells for Boobs relevant or not? And that's what really forced me to innovate and forced me to create the circle, because at the same time, we were building this community in CrossFit of breast cancer survivors that were active and they wanted to get back in the gym, and they were calling us and contacting us, and we were building this like online community where we were connecting them, and we were doing all this work and never talking about it, and never actually saying like, hey, maybe we have something here. And the things that women were telling me in the community disgusted me. And I saw another problem, which was, hey, my doctor's telling me that CrossFit's dangerous. Or my doctor's telling me I can't pick up more than 3 pounds. Or my doctor's telling me I'll never be able to do a push-up again. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what? Like, that's crazy talk. There has to be some other resource out there in the world telling you something else. Like CrossFit maybe should be telling you that's incorrect, And so I said, and so at the same time, my sister was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And this all is happening all in the same year, all at the same time. And so I really had to get uncomfortable with what I was doing and start making changes and start listening to our own community and saying, where do we belong in breast cancer? Because what was happening on the screening side in America, what I realized and what I finally admitted to myself was, Z, you cannot fix this problem. You and your community cannot fix this problem, but the problem that you're seeing on the fitness side, you can fix this. You have an army of people and you have the community to do this, and nobody's doing it right now. And so we had to make a really hard decision on that and start bringing to life almost like a rebirth of Barbells for Boobs. And the most fantastic piece to this of us diving now into really being the advocates for the resources after diagnosis, for a healthy lifestyle, for improving quality of life, for putting a barbell in a woman's hand after a breast cancer diagnosis, is that I have finally helped my friend Ceci, because she now CrossFits and she now picks up a barbell and she's now a part of our community. And it's been almost like this, maybe this is why I started Barbells for Boobs, was for this era, for this right here, what we're working on.
I mean, it is so incredible to see. I remember, we had that collective event in California a few years ago, and just getting all the survivors together, letting them talk, letting them share their stories, and just connect with each other beyond the virtual Facebook group that I'm in. And everyone is so active in that group. It's amazing to have the support, but be able to provide some formal support for them beyond the connection with each other, I think is so incredible.
For anybody out there listening, when you're in this, and I feel like we get this a lot in our lives, you come to this roadblock of like 2 different paths you can go down, right? And you're never sure which path to go. I think that why Barbells for Boobs continues to grow and continues to it's constantly blossoming, because I'm never scared to go down a path that maybe I don't even see. And so, and we've talked about this, Nicole, of you're working on the medical side in the hospitals of nutrition, and you don't even believe what they're saying. And it's such a scary idea and concept to say, I don't agree with anything that's happening. And there's no road actually, like I can see the 2 paths that are going down there, and there's organizations that are doing things, amazing things for women after diagnosis, but nobody is touching this subject right now. Nobody is saying pick up a barbell. Nobody is saying go for a run. Nobody is saying go into a CrossFit gym. Nobody is saying here's the nutrition plan that we think that is going to get you back to where you feel strong and amazing, and you feel like you can be a great mom again, and you feel like you can get through your depression and get those last 10 pounds off you. And there's nobody out there. If there is, I'm sorry, I haven't met you. Please call me if you are doing this work. But what you have to decide is, maybe it's not even a path that exists. And that's what we call trailblazers. And that's what we call pioneers. And what we're doing right now at Barbells for Boobs and what we're doing with Healthy Steps Nutrition is we're literally chopping down trees and creating a path that is not out there.
With the whole idea of providing support to women and families that need it the most when they're going through such a tough time. I mean, you think about going back to Lauren's story, she was in CrossFit before, like that community was what helped support her through the toughest time in her life, right? So,
Yes.
Being able to plug people into amazing communities in CrossFit is incredible, which is, essentially what you've been doing with RAD, the scholarship program for a while. And now we're able to add the nutrition component, add so many other pieces of the puzzle for all of these amazing ladies.
So really what we're trying to do here, and I think that the nutrition piece is the foundation to it, is when a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer, they get an entire medical team. They get their oncologist, they get their radiologist, they get their surgeon, they've got their oncology nurse. They have this entire team. They have all this attention. They get through treatment, and your doctor's job and your medical team's job is there to create a treatment to save your life and to hopefully prevent reoccurrence, right? That's the hope of your treatment plan. And you work really closely with them. And the minute you get from the time you get diagnosed until your last treatment, it is a whirlwind. It takes over your life. It is everything there's nothing else but that, right? And then you're done, and then they release you into the world with no other continuum of care plan. Zero. And so I really want to make sure that when a woman is done with treatment and she comes into Barbells for Boobs, into our community, that she is with us for life, because they've saved your life, but we want to give you life. We want to show you what life can look like and how you can become better after all of that trauma.
And that's kind of what we were talking about yesterday is, so many people say that they're actually stronger after they get out of this chapter and onto the next chapter, right?
Every single woman. That's why, like, when women are like, well, I just want to get my back squat to where it was before breast cancer. And I'm like, why are you going to set your standards so low? You're going to get more, girl. It's going to be better than before.
I think exercise is such a stress relief. And when doctors, when anyone says, oh, you're going through this, you can't exercise, like that's a part of someone's almost identity, right? Like that's just a part of their routine. That's where it releases anxiety. And if they are told they can't exercise or do something to get moving, they lose another part of themselves that they're already losing so much.
Well, 100%. And I say all the time is that a barbell is my medicine.
Absolutely.
That's when I pick up a barbell, that's my stress. That helps me from anxiety. It helps me from stress. It helps me become a better mom. It is my medicine. And so where I used to identify the ideology of a barbell with Barbells for Boobs was I utilized it as a vehicle to fundraise to support early detection, right? I really looked at that in that capacity for the first 8 years. And I cultivated and I worked a lot on the fundraising side as well as on the early detection side. But, we all have you have your story and I have my story, but, my sister passed away in 2018. And it was from that moment that I realized that the barbell was what I need to use to heal people, because that was the one thing that healed me from that loss in my life. It was the constant in my life. It was the one place I could come. I could find some peace of mind. I had my community that was always there and was so like steady with me during that process, whether I was crying or whether I was like, hey guys, don't ask me how I'm doing today. And I was like, please, no eye contact today, please. Thank you. Like, I don't want to cry anymore. And so really looking at the RAD program is, how do I help a woman find what her new medicine is for life? And mine is a barbell. It might be a bike. It might be a rower. It might be CrossFit. It might be, I don't know what it is, right? But we want to build something where, number one, we're here for life. When you get in our program, when you're with Healthy Steps Nutrition, I want you to be on that program for life. When you share your story with our podcast, that is going to be there not only for your life, but your grandbaby's life. Your story is going to be out in the world forever. Our Facebook group isn't going anywhere. So you're a part of that for life. So everything we're building, we have to build it forever. It has to be what you have for the rest of your life. Because when you get a breast cancer diagnosis, I don't care if they tell you you're cancer free, you have it for the rest of your life. It is on your mind. It is a constant in your life. And so Barbells for Boobs needs to be that constant right with you.
Absolutely. Just, again, being there to support and being around people that are also going through something super similar, right? I mean, the community of women that are in that Facebook group, and someone asks a question, there's 50 responses within 5 minutes. I mean, it's a little overwhelming, which is amazing, right? Like, everyone is just truly there to help each other.
It's really incredible because you get this, support groups are great, right? And one of the things that I've heard consistently from our community is there's so many support groups out there. And again, one of the things that we need to do at Barbells for Boobs is ensure that we protect it and not dilute it so that it doesn't feel like, oh, this is just another one of those depressing support groups. That's what I constantly hear. Is most of the women are young, and I think, 65 is young. So most of our community is just young, energetic, and active. And not a lot of support groups are empowering women to go out and work out and to eat right and to really, and if they are, Nicole, the recommendations aren't our recommendations. It's a very different type of nutrition and exercise regimen than what, I want you to do Fran. There's not a lot of people out there like, girl, it's your Fran time, like, no. And so it's just it's a very niche group that have very common mindsets and very positive and really supportive. And I think it's the same thing when we think about just a CrossFitter. Like, I can be at the airport and see somebody wearing nanos and I'm like, yep, like, you're part of my community.
We're best friends.
Hey, I know you. And so it's that same concept of, not every single human being is in CrossFit or pick a soap up barbell every day. But when you find that like-minded community and the community really that's willing to push beyond their comfort level, the community that's willing to show up every day and be consistent with their health, it's a really, really special community to be a part of. And I think that we all kind of take it for granted that we've, number one, found this great community, and number two, that we love it, because not everybody loves beating their bodies up or like feeling that pain all the time. And number three, that now at Barbells for Boobs, we've built an even more intimate community that includes all those things. And so I'm just excited about what the future holds and really what Barbells for Boobs is capable of for individuals out there that are living and fighting breast cancer.
Absolutely. I'm super excited about it too. And this is a cool thing for gym owners, people listening that are an affiliate that have done Barbells for Boobs in October or anytime. At this point, we're likely shifting our Barbells for Boobs event to probably September before the open. So we're not trying to do both events in the same weekend. Last year was a little crazy. Yeah. But it's awesome to kind of hear the story behind Barbells for Boobs. And like, when you're raising money, when you create a fundraising page, what is that really going towards? It's going towards another person to get them plugged into a healthy lifestyle and give them support after they've been diagnosed.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of people have asked, because for so long we were funding mammograms and early detection services, and we are still so very much committed to early detection. And honestly, I want to be politically correct when I say this, is I want to ensure that the way that we are talking and advocating for early detection is something that I can stand for. Mm-hmm. And so we do have some things in our pipeline that we are working for on the early detection side, but it's more of it's really to make sure that women like me aren't surprised if I get diagnosed at 29. And so it's really building out more of an education program for high schools and colleges for young women to make sure that they understand what their rights are, where to get screened, how to know when to get screened. And there's already a lot of community breast cancer organizations that do this work. And that's why I was like, we need to focus on something that's not happening right now in breast cancer, which is the work that we're doing right now. But when it comes to the early detection stuff, we still have our national program of referrals. And so anybody can still contact us for a screening, and we are dedicated to ensuring that they get screened and that it's covered. And so with our resources and our network, we're still very, very much committed to that. But really now when you fundraise, what we're investing in financially now is so our top two programs that actually cost us no money. So your dollars do not go into this, is our Facebook group and our podcast. Our podcast cost $300. It was a one-time cost. So there you go. It's up and running. And so the idea of the Facebook group and the podcast was, let's say Barbells for Boobs just never raised money ever again. And, for whatever reason, you never know, right? We want to make sure that we still have something for our survivors that didn't cost anything except for our time and each other's times, for them sharing their story or for them responding onto the Facebook group. And so, this is like, if I was just like to take my hat off and say, I'm done, I'm shutting down, like we can still at least leave this for our community. Right. So those two programs actually don't cost anything but our time. And so the next program that we are really investing in is our RAD Nutrition Program, which is in partnership with Healthy Steps Nutrition. And that's ensuring that every single woman that comes to us gets an assessment from a registered dietitian with Healthy Steps Nutrition and is given the tools and resources that they need for their nutrition. So that's what we are working on right now. And then the next program that we invest in is the RAD Collective, which is a week of fitness and community and bringing survivors together. And we last year we partnered with Power Monkey Camp, and I believe that same camp will be going on this year. No, we haven't released it yet, so that's coming out in spring. So that's another thing that we invest in. We fully fund our survivors to attend Power Monkey Camp for a week, and the next that we invest in is we fund scholarships to CrossFit or fitness facilities around the world. We fund one in Australia right now. We fund one in Africa, and so we paid for a year of gym membership for breast cancer survivors. And we also just recently invested in building our own space here to start providing more content on education and information and resources for coaches and breast cancer survivors on movement and exercise after diagnosis. So that's the Allison Lyle Training Hall that will be opening up this summer and dedicated in memory of one of our really good friends, Allison Lyle, that we lost in 2017. And we're going to continue to grow what we're investing in and what we're doing here, and just trying to make sure that, again, whatever we build, it's for life, and we're investing in women being better and stronger.
And having that support, right? I think,
yes.
There are so many stories, and you have so many more than I do, but when someone gets diagnosed with breast cancer, it's like everyone wants to go in and support, which is amazing, but then they're often told so many different conflicting things, and it just leaves them more confused than where they started. And they're like, I don't know what the right thing is for me. And being able to support them with medical professionals and other people that are going through the same thing is amazing.
Well, I think that what's really important for us was what the programs that we are building they are very specifically ran by people in our community. And so everything that we're pushing out, this is probably a minor detail here. We've built a medical advisory board at Barbells for Boobs. And so we have medical professionals now looking at all of our programs and really overseeing them and providing us the feedback needed to ensure that that what we're doing is long-term impact, right? Long-term and short-term, qualitative, quantitative. It is all encompassing that for what you want in social change and for things to be different. And so we have an amazing medical advisory board, and every single one of them are athletes.
Yes.
And that was really, really important to me, that any partnership that we have has to be ran by people with the same mindset, which to me is the mindset of an athlete. And so our medical advisory board, again, when we think about long-term impact and what I hope our work does, like, it's really good to be in the trenches and to build the community and to build the support systems and to provide the resources to breast cancer survivors. But when we're talking about social change, one of the things that I really want our medical advisory board to do is to change the protocol of physical therapy post-diagnosis or post-surgery. So when I look at our community, 98% of our women have had surgery.
Wow.
And 98% of our women have had surgery, and physical therapy is not a protocol after mastectomy or after breast surgery.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
That is really crazy.
Yes. And so when we talk about how do our programs really change the standard of care, and that's one of our goals, we want to redefine the standard of care. So how can we and what we're doing in breast cancer do those things? And those are the things, those are those top level social changes that our medical advisory board, I'm going to be pushing them to really make a noise on the medical side. And so that's kind of one of my first goals is start getting that to be a protocol post-surgery.
That's a legacy, right? That's really changing everything so that women are set up for success long-term.
Yes. And every single one of our medical advisors are volunteer. So we have 7 very extraordinary professionals on our board, and they are all volunteering their time. So the love and support that this community has provided Barbells for Boobs, even with our changes. I know change is not easy, and we've changed direction, and to still see people show up and give is just, for me, it's exactly what Ceci would want. It's that cycle of, it's that paying forward that Ceci gave us in the beginning. I continue to see people continuing to pay forward her selflessness. And that's what's so beautiful to me about Barbells for Boobs.
I love it. I remember doing Barbells for Boobs years and years ago, and I was so excited when we first opened up our gym to be able to do it in memory of my mom. I think, everyone has been touched with breast cancer, some type of breast cancer story, and them being able to support or do it in memory of a person that they love or still love, right, is incredible. And that's really what you've built, right? And now the money that's raised is able to support early detection still, but then, support the people that need it the most. Yes. And
it's so funny. Somebody asked me, and this as somebody, you're building something that's changing people's lives, right? You're building. So at the end of the day, we're still building businesses in a sense, mine just, it gets to do something really incredible every single day. And so I remember I was doing this interview and somebody asked me, what's the thing I'm the most proud of Barbells for Boobs? And
I'm curious.
And you'll relate to this, Nicole, and anybody that runs a business, you'll relate to this, is that it's still here.
There are some trying times being an entrepreneur. I get it. And, we go through our ups and downs, but I think you always come out stronger on the other side. And sometimes when things don't go your way, you get a little bit more clarity, or you nail down the focus of, all right, what is my purpose here? What is my vision? What does success look like? And, Z, you kind of shared this along the way, but really success, kind of what that looks like may change over time. And now I'm so excited about the future with Barbells for Boobs and everything that you guys are doing. It's incredible, and I'm thankful to be a part of it.
Oh, thank you so much. And I think that I think for me, what's the most exciting is I feel like I learned so much in the first 10 years, because we're celebrating 10 years of Barbells for Boobs, and I feel like and I remember I always used to say, like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I really didn't. I had no idea how to run a nonprofit. I'm a high school graduate. I have no college degree. I'm a college dropout. I had no idea what I was doing. I learned everything that I had to learn. I went and studied. I went and Googled stuff. I went and learned from others. I took classes. I did whatever I could to learn how to build a nonprofit. And now going into this new decade of Barbells for Boobs, I know exactly what I'm doing. And that is so scary sometimes. But it's so fantastic if you can stick it out for the long run, and whatever you're building and whatever your goals are in life is, you really become better. You become better. And if the more I become better, the better what our work becomes, right? And what we get to do. And then the bigger our impact becomes. And so I'm so excited for this next decade with this new direction, with this new passion and this new energy that we all have, not only here at Barbells for Boobs, but I feel it in the community. I feel when people can fundraise for people that they know and that they get to hang out with every day, it becomes a totally different experience. And so we're just seeing the vibrant love happening every single year now with our new program. So we're super excited.
Well, so much is ahead of us. We just actually emailed right before we started recording this podcast, the first 15 people on the list to get them booked for nutrition assessment. So, I mean, it's happening. It is starting, at least this piece of the puzzle. There's so many different pieces of the puzzle that are happening. The RAD Collective is an amazing event I've gotten to experience. I'm looking forward to hopefully going, to this one that's coming up. Maybe I just invited myself.
I think it's a good idea. We should talk about this. Just secure your spot.
But Z, you're doing such amazing things, and for other nonprofits, I know like people look up to you and what you've built, and you're truly an inspiration to so many people, and not only with breast cancer survivors and all the cool things that you've done to support the community, but other people that have a passion project of helping others. And I think that's one thing within the CrossFit community is everyone is just there to better themselves and help each other.
Yes. I mean, I get to do what I get to do because people believed in me, and so that is something I'm forever grateful for. So if you ever have any questions about your passion project or building a nonprofit, I am all ears. My doors are open to you, and I will talk to you. I will talk you through it. I will tell you my failures, my successes. It's not an easy road. It's definitely a lot of grunt work, and I know that Barbells for Boobs looks like it's really cool and really fun, but it's a lot of work, and we have a very, very, very small team here, and it's I wake up thinking about this. I go to sleep thinking about it. It's why I exist, and I'm forever grateful to this community that continues to support what I believe in, and when I see a problem and how I want to fix a problem, and just for showing up. It's so unbelievable. And including Healthy Steps Nutrition, Nicole, you guys have been so fantastic and patient with, you have a vision, and as a visionary, you have a vision and you think it's going to happen overnight. And, here we are 2 years later and it's finally coming to life. And so I'm so excited. Right now we have like 98 women on the waiting list for you to assess. So I'm incredibly grateful.
Well, I'm super excited, and I am positive there probably will be more people that want to join the waitlist after listening to this podcast. So if someone's listening to this podcast and was just diagnosed with breast cancer or has breast cancer or is a survivor, how do they get plugged into the community, and what are the next steps for them?
Yes, go to barbellsforboobs.org, and under programs, there is a button that says apply today. So click that, and that's our introductory application, and we will get you plugged in, and we will do an entire program evaluation and analysis and provide our program recommendations on your application. And if you are not a breast cancer survivor, but you want to hear some stories about some incredible breast cancer stories, or breast cancer survivors, you can check out our podcast, Behind the Brawl podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify, all the podcast arenas. I don't even know them all. But yeah. And if you want to fundraise, I recommend August or September because October is booked with the open.
Damper in our Barbells for Boobs month.
Damper in the Barbells for Boobs month. It's all good. Breast cancer happens every day, so we don't have to wait till October to celebrate and to give back. So you just you create your own events. We just provide the tools and resources to create a fundraising campaign. You pick your date. You do Grace. You could do Helen Meets Grace. You could do Murph. I don't care. Whatever fancies your community. Pick a date, create a fundraising page, and earn really cool rewards from our great partners like Born Primitive and Yeti and Alico. We have some really cool partners that help us out with our fundraising initiatives. Awesome.
Well, we have been doing Barbells for Boobs fundraising every single year, and Obviously, we will definitely continue to do it. It's such a fun time to bring the community together. We always open it up and invite other gyms and just other people in the fitness arena. So we always have people that are not members of the gym join ours, which is awesome. Awesome. Z, thank you so much for being on the podcast. You are
thanks for having me.
Such an inspiration. I am truly thankful for everything that you have done to support women and families that are going through such a tough time. And again, I'm thankful to be a part of it.
Oh, thanks for having me. And for you listeners out there, if you don't know, Nicole has a very intimate breast cancer story that's on our podcast. So please go check out her story that she shared with us on our podcast. It might open your eyes to how incredible this woman is and what she's built and the fire behind her movement and her purpose. So please check it out. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you. Wow. Barbells for Boobs is doing some incredible things to support breast cancer survivors. The RAD Nutrition Program, powered by Healthy Steps Nutrition, officially kicked off the first week of March, and the feedback has been incredible so far. 1 in 8 women are diagnosed with breast cancer. If you are a breast cancer survivor or you know someone, please send them to the link below to apply to learn more information about the RAD program and how Barbells for Boobs can support you during and after your treatment is over. If you're interested in learning about Healthy Steps Nutrition and my mom's story with breast cancer, check out the link below. I'm going to link the Behind the Bra podcast that I was on with Z a few weeks ago. I could not be more excited and honored to partner with Barbells for Boobs to support this RAD nutrition program. And I am so excited to be helping to support these ladies who need it the most.